Sometimes you want to run your nodejs app even when your terminal is down. But the question is, how do you do that, right? So that's where the PM2 comes in. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. So in this video, we are going to do something really quick, and it's something that I encountered just recently. So as many of you, maybe many of you have come across this, but sometimes you want to run your Node.js app even when your terminal is down. But the question is, how do you do that, right? So that's where the PM2 comes in. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. We'll go through how to install it, how to get it up and running, how to stop it, and how to monitor it, and everything. We're going to cover everything in this video. All right, so let's jump into it. All right, so as many of you may have encountered, the first time that you run your app, so we're just going to run it, right? So let's just do npm start, right? So we have our app running on 8,000, so we should have 8,000 running. All right, so there we are. So this is just a simple Node.js app. Here we are, PM2 tutorial. So it's running there, right? Now, what happens when this terminal is down, or when it's not running anymore? Then your app is down. Basically, for me, it was actually an API to an app, and what happens then is that if your API is down, basically your app can't gain access to your database. So you want your Node.js app to continuously be running, right? So that's what we're going to talk about. So let's go to the documentation here, and this is pm2.keymetrics.io, right? So I'm assuming that you already have Node installed on your machines and you already have npm installed. So if you have both of those installed, but if you don't have both of those installed, I'm going to provide a link in the description for you to install your Node and your npm. All right, so we're going to start with this command. Let's go to our VS Code. Let's just clear this. All right, let's attempt to run this now. And sometimes when you're installing this, depending on what operating system you're using, I'm using a Mac. Sometimes it may deny the installation because of permission rights. So you may need to do like sudo npm, and I'm going to show you in a moment if that problem actually surfaces. But yeah, so there we go. It says permission denied, right? So we're just going to run the same command, but we'll add sudo at the beginning. I should think that this probably should be tricky. Maybe sudo on Windows probably should be tricky, but on Ubuntu should work. And in a later video when we're doing this on like an Ubuntu server, we're gonna see how to walk through this. So yeah, so there we are, installed. Let's go ahead and clear that. Now the very next thing is pm start and the name of your start file, right? So in my case, my file is index.js. So we're going to say pm start index.js, right? So there we go. The process is successfully started. So as you can see here, we don't have what we had earlier. Basically, I could close this terminal and my app will be running, but let's just confirm that it's running. So let's go back to our port 8000 and see if it's running now. Yeah, so there we are. It's running. PM2 tutorial, right? So basically right now I could close this terminal and it will still be running. But let's run through some of the other things that PM2 offers. So if you're running an SH file, you could also do the same. If you're running a Python file, you also do the same, but don't forget to put that flag there, the watch flag. And if you're running a binary file, you also put the port and define the port there. There's a couple of options here. You might just want to quickly run through those, but I want to jump quickly to this section here. So you've got restart, you've got reload, and you've got stop. So there's times when you make a change to your file, maybe you make a change to like the index.js, which is your main entrance point. So in those positions, you just want to run PM2 reload or restart, right? And sometimes you want to stop that process and start another process. And as you scroll down this page, actually there's a section where you can run two different processes at the same time. All right, so let's attempt to stop it now. So in this case, we're not going to say start anymore, we're going to say stop, right? So now it's stopped. So you can see the status changes from online to stop. So now when we check our port, it shouldn't be running. All right, there we are. So it's not running because we've stopped it. And you want to delete it, you just go ahead and delete it. All right, so there's a couple of other things as well. You check your PM2 logs. Let's just quickly check that out. All right, there we are. We've got our logs, and these other two are just from just before this video I was running, I think, 2 instances, so that's what this is all about. But yeah, so this shows you all the logs, basically your PM2 logs. All right, and yeah, you can monitor. Let's run this so that you see what that looks like. You can see that it's been stopped here. That's what we've just stopped. And if we attempt to actually start it and then run the monitor again, you can see that it's now online. All right, nice. Let's go ahead and clear this. Now there's one more thing I want to show you, which is the web interface monitoring, right? So one of the trickiest thing when you're doing like an API that connects your app to your database, the one thing that you really don't want to happen is a situation where your API is down, because when your API is down, your app can't connect to your database. So you want to continuously monitor the status of the API. I think, you know, OpenAI should have like a whole status page which shows you which APIs are on and which APIs are down at what points and all of that, because an API is very, very, very essential if you're running a service that depends on an API to connect to a database. Oops, I beg your pardon. I think I logged in with GitHub. Let me just proceed with GitHub. Right, so I already have 2 buckets here, but I'm just going to create a new one for the sake of this tutorial. Let's go say PM2 fresh tat, right? Go ahead and create that. Did I click create? I think I did. It's just pretty slow. Why is it slow? PM2 tat. Wonder why it's not loading. Is it that there's a limit on how many buckets you could create? So I don't know why it's not proceeding. Let me just try to read out this. PM2 dot new. Okay, I don't know, probably maybe there's a limit on how many buckets you could create, but so what happens is when you create a new bucket, you're gonna be greeted with something like this, right? So what you want to do, since we've already installed, we'll go ahead and run this. So you can see it gives you like a public and private key. You're gonna see that in a moment. So let's go ahead and run it on our project here, and you're going to notice that it will configure your project. All right, so there we go. It says activated. Now you could literally monitor. You see, so it says online right there, right? and that's because our project is running right now. So if we check, yeah, so it's running right now, and it will show you online. But what happens when we actually just run, let's say PM stop, yeah, let's stop it, almost immediately it will change the status to stop. So this is good for like APIs or projects that depend on APIs to connect to the database, because this helps you to just monitor whatever whatever you're doing. So this was just going to be a very quick tutorial. I hope you learned something, and for me, I think this was something I was really looking for, because I needed to connect my app through an API to a database. So hopefully you learned something, and this is going to help you in your project. If you liked this video, consider subscribing, leave a like, leave a comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, guys. Cheers.